the Macho Man voice is something that I've always been able to do. I remember even when I was growing up as a kid, I could do the voice. And I think it's because I just watched wrestling so much. I didn't go out with my friends. I didn't go to friends' houses. In fact, my parents would even tell me, why you don't go out? I didn't go to, any school sports. I didn't do anything. I just religiously came home, watched wrestling, or I played with my action figures. So I think instead of watching wrestling as a fan, I was probably, unbeknownst to me, studying it. Well, Macho Man was always someone that he just drew me in. So I've always been able to do the voice. So there's been several times where we just have some downtime in the locker room and I would bust out my Macho Man voice. And it wasn't until Kevin Nash heard it. And I was like, wow, I'm working with Kevin Nash. This is incredible. And he goes, yeah, that voice, why are you not doing that on TV? Like, that's entertaining. We're doing all these silly skits. And you can do that voice, like you should do that. And right away, I like to think that most of the people who got into the wrestling in my generation, we all wanted to be the badass world champion. We didn't want to be like the imitation guy. Yeah. And I explained that to him, and he goes, the sooner you get over that and realize that there's a spot for everybody. Not everybody can be that badass world champion. Right. The sooner you realize that, the better you'll be as a wrestler, and you'll have more fun. And I go, okay, I understand that, but also I don't want to make fun of Savage. I don't want anybody to feel like that. He goes, well, no one would. He goes, think of it like this. Nobody's even talking about Randy Savage right now. So if you do this on TV, you'll actually get people to start talking about him. So I go, you know what? You're right. And it took about an hour of him talking to me, but I was 100% convinced. And we ran to Jeff Jarrett and was like, yeah, I want to do this. And then they pulled me into this room and made me do all these lines in Macho Man voice. And then they played it back for me. And I was like, whoa, that really does sound like Macho Man.
Give us a quick little example.
Brother, yeah. The thing about the Macho Man, yeah. The thing about him. The wild thing about my Macho Man impression is, even if it's something that I've never heard him say, I could say it.
Sure, of course, yeah.
Yeah, like next week I got to go to the supermarket, and they were out of chicken. Can you believe that? Huh? You're a supermarket. Come on.
Now, was Randy still alive at the time?
He was.
Because he did a stint in Impact.
He did right before I got there.
Okay.
And I just missed it.
Gotcha.
Right before I got there, man. And there's a story about that, too, because I did this indie show in the Midwest area for a gentleman named Ed Schumann. And I was doing the Machismo character, and Ed Schumann one time pulls me aside. He goes, I know Randy Savage. And I go, oh, man, you do? He goes, yeah. And I talked to him about you, and he loves your stuff. And he slid a piece of paper to me. He goes, here's his number. He wants you to call him. And, of course, I'm thinking there's more than one person who can do a Macho Man voice.
Yeah.
And it's the wrestling business. I'm going to call this number. Someone's going to pretend to, Big Rib laugh on me.
Yeah.
So I never called it. So eventually I would do another Ed Schumann show months later, and he said, I talked to Randy. He said, you never called him. Why? I go, I was just busy. Meanwhile, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I don't want to fall for your stupid prank, man. So eventually Ed Schumann passes away, and then the Macho Man thought in my head, like, well, should I go try and find that number? Nah, I won't. And then I did a show in New Jersey during my Black Machismo character against Lanny Poffo. Someone booked me against his brother. And then Lanny told me, I want to form this tag team with you, and we'll be called Brothers from Another Mother. And I was like, yeah, this is great. So after the match, I said, hey, can I ask you something? And he goes, yeah, and you know where this is going. I'm going to ask him about that number for Macho Man. And I'm like, Ed, there's this guy I did a show for. His name is Ed Schumann. And before I could even finish saying Ed Schumann, he goes, oh, I know Ed Schumann. And right away, I'm like, you stupid son of a... Like, I couldn't believe it. So, of course, now I'm like, oh, man.
So you never got to meet him or never got to talk to him about
it? Sorry. I got to rewind. I'm so sorry. I did 3 shows for Ed Schumann, and on the third one, when I went back to my room, I called the number. I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry. I went back to my room and I called the number just to appease Ed Schumann. And the person it was like a 10-second conversation. It went just like this. Oh, hi, Mr. Randy Savage. This is Jay Lethal. Ed Schumann gave me your number. Is that right? Yeah, he told me that I should give you a call, and you've seen some of my stuff. I don't have television, but I've seen some of it on YouTube. And it's pretty good, pretty good. I go, man, I'm a big fan. Is that right? Yeah, well, I got to go right now. I'm a little busy. All right, thank you. So hung up, and then I was like, okay, now Ed Schumann can leave me alone. And like, I'm sure that was not even him.
Yeah.
So when I talked to Lanny, I said, can you find out if I actually, So Lanny goes, when I get home, I'll find out right away. So when Lanny got home, I got an email from him. I didn't exchange numbers. I don't know why. I gave Lanny my email address. That was weird, right? Why wouldn't I just give him my phone number? So when I got home, Chris, he emailed me and go, yep, I just talked to my brother. He said that was him. So now I scramble to find
Where's
this
the number? Where's the number?
Scramble to find it. I finally found it. I tried to call. No answer. No answer. One of the times he picked up and goes, hey, I can't talk right now. Okay. And then shortly after
was it.
That was it.